Welcome back to For the Win podcast. I need to say welcome back to the For the Win podcast, right? That's actually correct grammar. Okay. Welcome back to the For the Win podcast, the greatest game podcast in the world. It's David, John, Henry, and let's get into what has happened this week in gaming. Xbox launches the new strike system to help weed out mean people. A player that has received 2 strikes will be suspended from the platform for 1 day, whereas a player that receives 4 strikes will be suspended for 7 days, Microsoft said. There are a total of 8 strikes. Once that number is reached, players will be suspended from messaging, parties, party chat, multiplayer, and other features for 12 months. Strikes against accounts will be retained on players' record for 6 months before being wiped. Very interesting.
How is it working before? Because you could get banned before. So what was the system that was in place for the last 20 years?
I think it was system unknown, right? You just never really knew. If you just got a bunch of complaints, I think they would review your stuff and no?
Maybe. I've never been banned somehow.
No.
Dude, if I got banned from Xbox Live, I would just be done with video games. That would be one of the saddest things to ever happen to me.
You mean like your account permanently gone?
Yeah.
Why is John? You've changed your name multiple times, so it's not the name you have an attachment to.
It's the
No,
how
it's
much
just
is
like-
your gamer score right now?
Well, it's just like the history of it all. You know, like I've got so many memories and things attached to my account. And it's like a really good like snapshot into like who I am as like a gamer, you know.
Yeah.
So just to have it all completely gone away would be so sad. My gamer score is at 175,555. Trying to get to 200 by the end of the year, but having 2 kids has slowed me down quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm at 30,000, so.
And
got a ways to
also,
go.
Diablo 4 is like a complete time sink, and I'm playing it and not getting any achievements.
Yeah, no achievements being had there. We'll see. I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like you have to do something pretty drastic to get a strike.
I was going to say, without really knowing like what the original system was, I don't really feel like have an opinion. It's like,
right.
Cool, you are keeping track and you're being transparent with how you're keeping track now, but people have been getting kicked off the servers for, forever. So I would just curious, like, what's the difference and why does it matter at that point,
Right.
Yeah, the important thing is always to, we want to make sure that this isn't getting abused and people aren't getting wrongfully banned. So hopefully Microsoft is also hiring people to review all of these complaints and strikes.
Yep. One complaint that I don't have is Big Buck Hunter cabinet pre-orders are live now at Best Buy. A Big Buck Hunter cabinet is coming to the gaming world. Big Buck Hunter Pro Deluxe features 2 pump-action light gun rifles. The cabinet is equipped with a 17-inch color display, stands over 5 feet tall, and is wrapped in a traditional Big Buck Hunter design. With 4 different games that are playable in the cabinet, including the following: Big Buck Hunter Pro, Big Buck Safari, Big Buck Hunter Pro Open Season, and Big Buck Safari Outback. It comes in at, I believe it was $600, or was it $699?
Yeah, $599.
$599. I would kill if I didn't live in a 1-bedroom apartment. I would kill to have one of these, man.
I mean, it's only 3/4 scale, David. Just think about that. It is smaller than the real ones. I'm sure you could sell Katie on that. Just don't show her it until after it's in the house.
Yeah.
That's the hack there. It's only 3/4 scale, so it's not full.
It could be a lot bigger.
Yeah. Henry, what do you think of these It's the same company that does all these, right?
Yeah,
The arcade one up.
Mm-hmm. They are a mixed bag. The emulation on them is usually pretty decent. For a lot of people, they're good for what they are. They are kind of cheap. It's basically IKEA furniture you put together.
Yeah.
Like they come in a little box. You bolt it together with the included Allen key, and they're cute. And like I said, they're 3/4 scale, which on some games is fine. On some games, it doesn't work. Like you want to do Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4 players on a 3/4 scale cabinet, it becomes like real hard to when you're grown adults. But it's they're fine for what they are for the most part. They're not for me. I would prefer like real arcade hardware. John, you went with me to get or Neo Geo.
Yeah. I was looking at Big Buck Hunter Reloaded, the actual arcade cabinet, and it's $8,000. So this seems like a good entry into the arcade.
It's a gateway drug to getting your own
like
real full size
hardware is very expensive, and that's why when I was able to get some stuff for cheap,
heavy.
Yep. they are significantly heavier than these things. So if you want that arcade experience without the upkeep, because it is a lot more upkeep when you're dealing with like real arcade hardware, and you're dealing with like commercial
tube TVs stuck TVs. Into a
that can like shock you if you don't use a plastic screwdriver and you don't pay attention to what you're doing. You can get electrocuted, and you have to it's for a specific kind of person.
That's why I would never get into pinball machines, because there's like 500,000 parts in a pinball machine.
I was talking about that to some people at DEF CON, like about pinball. I was like, yeah, they're cool, but like just playing them just starts wear and tear on them. They're like, why? I was like, you're bouncing around a ball bearing. You're literally bouncing around a ball bearing against like rubber and springs and stuff, and it will just eventually wear on. They were like, oh, that totally makes sense. I just wasn't even thinking. Like when they said that, there's a bunch of smart people, and they're like, why? And I say like, of course.
Yep. The arcade cabinets, you might be able to, if you're listening, hear it in our voices a little bit. It's a deeply personal issue because there was a point in time where Henry texted John and said, hey, you want to drive to Idaho and pick up a arcade cabinet with me using your dad's Tahoe? And John said, sure. And then they called me and said, hey, can you come help us lift it up the stairs? And so there we all were, lifting this into Henry's room, which your room was not even big. First of all, your room had no business having a Neo Geo full arcade cabinet in it. No business. Okay, there's the door, you walk in, and then it just is to the left, this big cabinet that just fills part of the room.
I had to take out the sliding closet doors for it to have some room. But let's also not forget that in the room still was a full-size arcade DDR pad that I ended up giving to John afterwards. It's like I had full-size DDR pads in my room, and I got rid of those so I can get a full-size original Neo Geo arcade machine.
Yeah. Hey, what's everyone's... Cool. I don't think any of us have any cabinets anymore, but what's everyone's dream arcade cabinet?
That's a great question. If I could get any cabinet, I would probably get the shooting one.
There's many of those.
No. The not Area 51. Time Crisis. Is that what it's called?
Time Crisis?
Time Crisis 2, probably.
Cool. I would get something that I can't replicate at the home. So when I sold my Neo Geo, now I have a Neo Geo arcade board, but it's been put inside what looks like a console. So I'm still able to use all my Neo Geo arcade boards on it, but it's hooked up to my TV. So like a console, it's been a consoleized version. And so I've done that with a lot of arcade hardware before. So I have arcade machines, but they're just not in the giant wood thing. They're like, in my house. So What I would get would probably be the Star Wars game.
Ooh, the overhead one?
Not that one. It would be the one from the late 70s where it has like voice samples and it uses vector graphics. And it's got that like cool like yoke. So that way, because the arcade one up did do a release of it for like the home version where you have like the yoke and you have a screen, but the game looks totally different on an LCD screen, and it's not even a traditional CRT. It's a vector graphics CRT, so it's something that still can't be replicated if I had another arcade machine. So to me, that's like that's what if I needed to invest the space, the real estate to have a arcade machine again, I would make sure it's something that I can't get damn near the same experience playing on my TV. You know?
Right.
It's great. What about you, John?
Oh man, I have so many that I would want, but I mean, the one from my childhood I always wanted was the 6-player X-Men unit. That one's just ginormous, but like Henry, I also want something that I can't just like pick up and play on with a controller. So I really liked, I didn't get to very, play much of it, but like Cyber Troopers, and then like the like Afterburner, like those kinds of games where you're like sitting inside like an enclosed thing and you have like your controller, joysticks, or whatever. Like that kind of stuff would be super awesome to have.
Netflix is testing game streaming via a limited beta. Okay. When streaming to a TV, phones will be used as a controller. For PCs and Macs, you'll be able to use keyboard and mouse, as usual. The aim of the beta is to test our game streaming technology and controller to improve the member experience over time, is what Netflix said. Netflix getting into gaming. What's the worst that could happen? How come people don't stay in their lane? There's no way this ends well, right? What are we doing here? What are we talking about? What are they doing? Why are they doing this?
What are the two games? Snake?
Yeah,
Solitaire?
well, they're like those kind of games. Yeah. It's like there's like a gem mining game.
Okay, so Bejeweled. Got it. Yeah.
And then some other one. Yeah,
They need to have like movie related games. Like, why not have some kind of form of like the Blockbuster board game or something
like You Don't Know Jack. Netflix
You Don't Know Jack,
partner with you,
trivia,
and do movie
trivia.
TV show. That would actually maybe make a little more sense.
Why don't they have a Stranger Things like game on it?
Yeah, like an MMORPG Stranger Things.
Like there's been Stranger Things mobile games. If they put that out there, and it's like it's exclusive to the Netflix game stream, people would do it. They'd be like, "Well, we'll give it a shot. Fine, sure, whatever." And like, then forget they signed up for the week-long subscription and they get charged anyway. And Netflix makes money. See,
that's the goal. Speedrunner completes Baldur's Gate 3 in only 10 minutes. The world record time was achieved by speedrunner May, who has uploaded their any percent speedrun to YouTube with a time of 10 minutes and 3 seconds. Are we surprised by this at all?
I almost watched it today, but I didn't want to do too many spoilers because I'm probably going to play it eventually. Yeah. So I was like, I really want to see this, but also, so I'm not sure on like the techniques he used to get there or the skips he used.
Well, I know he used a character that, if I read the article right, you can't take that character through the entire game, but he somehow used that character through the entire game and skipped like a whole chunk and did a whole thing. So,
gotcha. Because I started watching it, and I don't know how like the tutorial works, but I think like you start with some stuff because like his whole abilities thing was all full of different spells and things, and So I'm guessing like after the tutorial, you kind of lose that and have to rebuild your character or whatever. So you might have found a way to break that and take that tutorial character through to the end. Not sure though.
Yep, and everyone is kind of settled down after the clipping update, so that's good. That's important.
I refuse to play.
Are you on a hunger strike now because they patched the penis clipping?
I refuse to play until that is at least a toggle.
I've never been super into more of like the long form speed runs. So a lot of times on like these RPGs, like speed run Final Fantasy whatever in like 3 hours, and I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna watch like a 3-hour speed run. But if you can do a speed run in 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, basically my max for watching a speed run is like in the hour range. And so if the speed run is more than an hour, I can't watch it. But
I don't watch a whole lot of like full complete where they're like completionist run. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I want to see this like exploited. I want to see this like broken open. That's what I like to see in a speed run.
Same.
Unless it's like a short enough game where you could just like flawlessly play and predict the game, and then like the original Contra, watching a speedrun, that's not really exploited at all. It's just like a perfect playthrough, and that's for like still like the world record. But then like watch them like Super Metroid broken down to like, whatever I think it's like less than 15 minutes, I think, for the world record. That's insanity,
Yeah. Don't upload your 30-hour speed run of Breath of the Wild finding all 900 Korok seeds. Like, I don't want to watch that.
Some people just want to have that record for, it's like I've met people that have had, world records in speedrunning. They're like, I chose a game no one was playing, I chose a category no one was doing, and I just got better at it, and then once I did it, I uploaded it.
Know what games speedrunning community has really started to take off and is kind of flourishing is the Golem game. One of the worst games, worst game of the year so far, like by a long shot. But people are like, all right, let's get into this and start speedrunning.
It's so funny because speedrunning, speedrunning in itself always breathes new life into all these games. And whether it's a really good game like Halo CE or it's a trash game like Golem, it's amazing to watch because, like, I will watch a Golem speed run, and it's always just funny, It's like, wow, it's impressive, it's funny, and you can actually find a lot of joy out of the jankiness of a bad game, and I think that's, like, one of the beauties of speed running.
If you haven't looked into the background of, like, the speed running scene for Sesame Street Fighter...
Sesame Street Fighter?
Sesame Street Fighter. It's just like a fan game, and then like as a gag, some people started speedrunning it, and then they actually started finding like techniques and exploits, and it actually became like a thing.
Oh my god. 48 seconds. Oh, down to 23 seconds.
Right.
Wow.
That's so crazy. It's so crazy.
Those speedruns are just hilarious to me.
Yeah,
under
I love
30
it.
seconds.
I love it.
So good. Well, after 9 years, Cortana is being phased out of Windows 11 in its latest update. How crazy is that? Did you guys ever use Cortana on a Windows
I hated
device
using
or
Cortana.
Phone? Why?
I always disabled Cortana. First of all, I hate voice control. I disable voice controls on anything if I can.
Same.
For a variety of reasons. But I remember when I was using the original Xbox One like voice controls, which worked pretty good with the Kinect. And do you remember when they enabled Cortana, where you could do voice controls with a headset instead of having to have Kinect, but it would have to go through Cortana instead? And it became useless. it became so useless. I went back to the old system until I eventually just stopped using my Kinect at all. But like, so I've had a grudge against it.
Connect.
Yeah, I used to use the voice commands on Xbox One when it released all the time. Xbox on, Xbox turn off, Xbox record that. Like,
when I came home, it was like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, like walking in, take off my boots, take off my tops,
right?
Xbox on, and like turn on, and like Xbox go to Halo, and would like.
Yeah, no, I think it even got to the point where if you like walked in front of it and looked at the Kinect, it would recognize your face and just turn on.
Between me and my ex-wife, it could recognize it. So like she would do the same thing, and like it would be like, boop, boom, hi Henry, and like it was fine. And yeah, I used Xbox Record that all the time.
And I still say
Xbox Record that.
I still say it even though I don't have a Kinect.
It's it's now mine's just mapped to like up on the D-pad. That's my record that button. So it's nice. But anyway, it's it felt like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, but like, with my like Xbox, I would just come in and like I would like Xbox go to YouTube, Xbox select profile 1. I still remember all these commands I would always constantly do to get everything like set up while I'm like getting ready for the afternoon after getting off of work.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Yeah. But then Cortana came and sucked and I stopped using them. And it killed the entire habit of like wanting to do it because it was just that bad.
Did you know Mr. Rogers was a sniper in Vietnam?
That was absolutely not true. He was a pastor.
In Vietnam.
If he pulls if he pulls up his sleeves, there's tattoos. He has actual sleeves under his sleeves.
That's not. There is not.
I'm pretty sure he racked up like over like 50 kills.
Sure. You know who was actually in the military though that people don't think about being in the military was Bob Ross. He was in the Air Force and he was a master sergeant, and he was a first sergeant, and he the reason why he was so chill was because he had to be so mean in the military, and when he got out, he says, "I'm never being mean again. I don't ever want to have to do that." And that's why all his stuff, like he was stationed in Alaska for a long time, and that's why he painted the way he painted. It was stuff he just saw living in Alaska while stationed there.
I'd like to see his unhinged paintings of, what he saw in Nam. That'd be.
God,
maybe they're in an attic somewhere.
Oh man, we could really derail this whole podcast by talking about how messed up the Bob Ross situation is with the family and stuff. Henry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. Oh dude.
Oh, are we ready for this?
No. We can't. If you guys don't know, the whole Bob Ross situation is a dumpster fire on top of a dumpster fire on top of acrylic paint on top of a dumpster fire. I mean, it is crazy. But the Master Chief is coming to Rainbow Six Siege as an elite skin for Sledge. How exciting for Rainbow Six Siege players.
Is he going to be using a grav hammer when he's playing as Sledge?
No, I think he uses the Sledge weapon thing.
Missed opportunity there, right?
Know.
You're already running around as Master Chief with the sledgehammer.
I know.
Just give you a gravity hammer. Have it perform the same way as Sledge's hammer since it's just a skin. Yeah. Stupid. I hate this. I hate this, like, everything has to be a crossover crap that we're doing with the...
Microsoft's depths of depravity, they have no bottom. It is a black hole of how far they will go to pimp out the Halo franchise, the Master Chief, and everything. It is I don't know, what do they call it, a golden cow, and they will just do anything. And I'm just like, I don't want to see Master Chief defiled like this. Like, Fortnite was already pushing it for me, but I played Fortnite, and I was like, oh, it's kind of cool. But it's like, it's already defiled because now you got him doing all these weird dances that that in emotes and all this stuff. But I'm just like, this is just like, but when it's Microsoft sanctioned and approved, I'm like, why are we doing this? John deserves better.
So, like, here's the thing to me, David. Like Fortnite was like, this is better than what happened with Fortnite because at least Rainbow Six looks realistic. Rainbow Six is gritty. It's got like the same kind of like tactile feel that like Halo has, except Halo is just science fiction, and so it doesn't match the look of Rainbow Six. Versus like, you know, he's not going to be doing Fortnite dances in Rainbow Six. It fits it better, but it's still not a fit at all for either. I like both of these franchises, and I don't need them together.
No, not at all.
I'm still just waiting for Rainbow Six Vegas 3.
One of these.
That's all I want.
Or I want them to actually like revive Rainbow Six Patriots. That was what that got canceled. That trailer looked so cool.
So Henry, you went to a conference in
One second,
Vegas.
guys. I just got a splinter. 1 second. I will be right back.
Splinter.
Yeah, I don't know how. I
Go
just,
get
like,
the tweezers.
Got a splinter in his house.
So he has hardwood, apparently. We just learned that tonight.
Splinter.
You get it out, Henry?
Yeah, I don't like something was on my carpet. I don't know, like what the hell happened.
Oh, was it on your carpet?
Yeah, I just like set my foot down and something like stabbed my toe.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Henry, you went to a hackers conference in Vegas this year called DEF CON, and you said that there was a really cool Team Fortress competition going on. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it being DEF CON, it's not a typical convention, so there's not a lot of gaming stuff happening. There's people playing games, but it's like hacking competitions. But this was a hacking competition, but also gaming competition. And they had a team of two teams of 10 players, 4 hackers and 6 Team Fortress players. And the Team Fortress players were trying to play Team Fortress against each other, while the hackers were completing various hacking challenges, attacking and defending networks, gaining points for every objective and flag they find along the way. That added to a hacking economy, and they could nerf the other team or buff their team in multiple ways, both in the hacking sense, so make certain things harder for the other team to hack, while also making Team Fortress your team buffed or nerfed in one way or other.
That's
pretty cool.
So crazy. Did you watch the whole match between them?
Oh, this was going on the whole weekend, so like it was a 4-day long conference, started and so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that I was there, and yeah, so I watched some of it, and didn't watch all of it. There's quite a few other gaming things that were there a little bit. One of them that was really cool actually was a TAS of Ocarina of Time, where they used TASBot to do
For those listening, what's TAS?
Tool assisted speedrun. So instead of someone doing the game, playing the game by their hand, they are running commands via machine. So you can have them on the exact frame. So theoretically, it should be the same exact way you do it each and every time. And they did what they called arbitrary code injection, where they input various commands that go into the Nintendo 64's memory, and they are interpreted essentially. I'm trying to think of how I can explain this. They're interpreted as actual in-game data, where they like coded a patch to add in the Triforce and a whole new ending with voice overs and stuff, and sent it over like through a computer that then the N64 interpreted those as button pushes, which then turned into code execution while on original N64 hardware. And then that was a crazy thing to see.
That's awesome. We'll close with this. Baldur's Gate 3 is causing a stir among developers. There's been a lot of chatter online, specifically from a lot of AAA developers, about how Baldur's Gate 3 should not be the gold standard, should not set the precedent for what games are. And there's a lot of people on both sides of the fence on this thing. And what do you guys think? Do you think it's fair to hold these companies, these developers, to a what was the word? A
higher standard?
A feature complete experience, or should we give them a break because they work really hard?
We really, as like a gaming community, we just really need to vote with our wallet for what we want. And if people are willing to do that, I think we could see more games like Baldur's Gate 3. It's because the only reason a lot of these games are doing live service and having microtransactions and the constant DLC and splitting their game up into different pieces and not shipping a complete game, is because they make a lot of money from doing that. And so until it's not profitable, like, it's just going to keep happening. And so I think people have been voting with their wallet on this particular title. They did it with like Elden Ring and some others where like it's a complete full game. You pay your money for it. You get the full experience. There's no microtransactions. There's no DLC. And, that's kind of what I want to see. I want to see more of that. I'm really tired of games. Like, I don't have anything necessarily against a live service game. It's just there's a lot of games that don't need to be live service that they're turning into live service games. So, like, Halo Infinite should have never been a free-to-play multiplayer game, in my opinion. I don't think Diablo 4 needed to be this big live service type of game. You could have just had your own experience like Diablo 2. So that's kind of my thought about it. It kind of bugged me that there are so many people rushing to like just kind of like say like, don't expect this for every game. Like, this isn't the new standard for AAA games. And in my head, like, Larian isn't like a huge studio by any means. I mean, they're a lot smaller than Diablo 4's Blizzard, but they somehow managed to create this amazing, fully complete game and fix issues with it right away after launch. And they're much smaller than like a Blizzard. So
yeah, I feel like you definitely should expect a full retail package if you're paying full retail price. We don't accept that sort of behavior with every other type of thing, like commodity. Like, it doesn't make sense in any other way. We don't make excuses. Everything is hard. Every job is hard. Vehicles are hard, but like, no one would be like, accept that like, oh, we will add the Bluetooth functionality to your car that was expected to have Bluetooth. We're going to add that later. We weren't done, but we needed to get the car out.
Yeah,
like,
or we're going to add your fourth tire. You'll be able to buy your fourth tire for $100 in 6 months. But that's the reality. Is some of these games are launching with
some of these are launching with
functions.
Tires,
yeah, with they're just incomplete and barely functioning. I mean, we look at MCC, right? They shipped a car on bricks. I mean, it was nothing. It wasn't anything.
It started, but you couldn't run it. Like, that's
so
how
it's ridiculous.
It was. There was no passenger seats because the multiplayer didn't work. You could drive it in with one person, right? But no passenger seats. That's how it was. You could play the campaigns, no multiplayer.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the problem is, we're like in the minority where, we're like, video games are like very important to us and like we play a lot of them. And, for a game like Diablo 4, like the average person is just seeing all of the advertisements, the hype, the commercials on TV with Megan Fox, like, and they're just like, oh, this game looks awesome, and so, they buy the game. They don't know that things are missing or what a downgrade it is from Diablo 3, or, they don't know all of this is happening. And so it's like, man, it's like they just don't know, and that's part of the problem. Is most people aren't following a game's development or played the game that came before. They just played Halo 4 for the first time. They didn't play any of the previous ones, and they just like, oh yeah, this is awesome, and don't even realize what they're playing.
It's true, and we all know people who, they're gonna buy every year's Madden, and they're gonna buy every year's FIFA, and they're gonna buy every year's COD. They like those games, they have fun with them, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that's your jam and you like to play that and do it. My biggest beef comes in when it's like incomplete and feature incomplete. That's where I'm like, hey, it's not fair to me. It's not fair to anyone spending now, $70 plus after tax on games where you say, hey, we're going to deliver an experience and it just falls completely short. That to me is not okay. And it's like borderline should be like illegal, where these, like if a car company was to false advertising, exactly.
Because we've gotten to the point where, for a while now, I've kind of had this rule of like,
I don't pre-order anymore.
Don't pre-order
I
any
quit
games.
Pre-ordering the day MCC let me down. That was the day my pre-orders died forever. I haven't pre-ordered since. Because then all my trust, boom, gone. I was like...
But now it's like, don't even buy the game until a year and a half after it's released.
Or you see, like, with Baldur's Gate, where it's like, hey, it's been like 2 or 3 weeks, and everyone's just saying, no, it's great. It's good. Like, then I think you can buy with confidence. But I think you're right. There is a little purchase hesitation on
I think there's
a
like
lot
a
of
good
consumers.
Window. I don't think a year and a half, like, because some games just die off by then. Unfortunately, that's the world we live in at this point. Like, so I can imagine, like, if you were to wait a few months, or because like by a year and a half, like, did you ever play Evolve?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that game was dead by a year. After a year, it was just dead. And so if you missed it, you missed it. And but that's also really unfortunate that I have to say that, like, the game could be totally dead in the water after less than a year of it releasing for $70.
Yeah. How many hours? I'm curious what your guys' thought are, and then we'll wrap this up. How many hours do you want to play a game that you pay full price for? Let's say $70. How many hours do you expect to get out of that game? Like genuine fun hours, not like, this I'm just playing it just because I feel like I need to, but like, I'm having a great time. I'm sinking these hours in. How many hours do you think is worth it to you?
It depends on the type of game. If it's like an FPS, like I have a good time with every Call of Duty campaign, and those are like, I don't know, 8 to 10 hours. Like, you could beat it in like one solid day, and it's a good ride, but you don't want to keep going back, right? But like, I would feel satisfied with that roller coaster ride, because that's the kind of game that is. But like, if it's a game where it's like Zelda, I'm expecting more time in there. At least 20 hours at the minimum for like a adventure-y type of game. It just depends on the genre, I guess.
Unpopular opinion, one of my favorite Call of Duties is actually Call of Duty Ghosts, because I know lightning hot fire take, because I played through the campaign and I enjoy the campaign. It was just a nice little roller coaster ride, whatever. And then the campaign was okay. Yeah, it's a campaign.
It was the multiplayer that really annoyed me on that one, actually.
But here's the thing. I didn't play that multiplayer. I played the Horde mode, Extinction. And I had a lot of fun playing Extinction because you could do co-op Extinction, and we would just get on there. And it was super casual. It was super fun. A nice little challenge. And I would play that with friends, and I put a lot of hours into Extinction because it was just a fun thing that was like, oh, yeah, we're shooting aliens. They're jumping around, you know. And I'm familiar with that with, you know, Reach and stuff. So I really like that. And to me, I was like, that was actually worth of buying the full price because I played a lot of hours after the campaign too. So
I think it does just kind of depend on the genre, and it's just like a little different for me because I'm just kind of a freak and like gotta complete games that I start, and so I'm very much a completionist and will try to get all the achievements in a game regardless of what it is, and so. To me, it doesn't take much for me, I guess, much time for me to like feel like I've got my money's worth, because I know I'm gonna like be spending more time in it than most people will just to complete to get all the achievements. So,
what if the game's unbearable though? Do you push through?
Yeah, Henry, have you checked out the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game?
Ooh, not yet, right? Because it's not. Oh yeah, they sent out like some beta invites to certain people, but I've been following it because the Friday, it's the same developers as Friday the 13th, and the Friday the 13th game got hit with like some stupid lawsuits, and so that game's getting shut down.
Yeah.
We have a special guest today on the For the Win podcast, the man, the myth, the legend. He has found the one ring, and he was not consumed by it, but he conquered, and he threw it into the fires of Mount Doom, so to speak, metaphorically. We are excited to have him. He's going to share his story about the one ring. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen, for Brook. Thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. We appreciate it. So the people want to know, and I'm sure you've told this story many times, but walk us through that day. You wake up in the morning, and you open your eyes, and to your knowledge, you don't know that you're about to pull the one ring from a booster pack. Talk us through, what did your day look like up until that moment?
Honestly, I was supposed to work that day, and I woke up early. I wasn't, I called in sick to work that day. And originally I had plans to go Saturday to pick it up. And I was like, you know what? I called in, the store doesn't open for a little while. I can make it there just as it opens. And, the pre-orders were sold out everywhere. And I thought, if I go in there the day it opens, like they'll probably have a case for sale. And sure enough, I got there, like before it opened, I was the first one in line. And as soon as it opened, I was the first one to the counter. Sure enough, they had two extra boxes, or well, they had 8 extra boxes, and I got two of them. And the ring was in one of those ones. I took them home. I opened them there.
Wow.
The first box of the two didn't have it. The second one, it was like halfway through, and it was wild. Like it wasn't even in the rare slot. It was in the common slot. Like I almost went through it. Like I already went through a whole box, so I was like, oh, like I'll just skim through the commons. I know which ones are good. And like I went past it and I seen, I'm like, that, the border is kind of weird. So I looked at it and I'm like, oh my Lord. Like it says one of one, and it's such a beautiful card. Like as soon as you see it, like and fully get a look from like head to toe, like it's it's special, and
Yeah.
like that's one of a kind. So instinctively I had a sleeve with me, but I'm like, okay, I got to take a picture before it goes in the sleeve, and then once, like when it goes in. So once it was in it, that's where the video came out, and that was just that shakiness was just the adrenaline through my body. Like I knew about the bounties beforehand, so I knew like there's at least $1 million from like Dave and Adams for this, and I'm like, oh my Lord, like it's crazy.
That's amazing.
Right after, I had all that moment, like I was in disbelief. So I was like, there's no way this could be real. Like the one card in the whole world, and I pulled it, pre-release day, like
Yeah.
within minutes of it being for sale. So I took some pictures, I sent it to like some friends and family. I'm like, okay, like, am I crazy? Like, is this it? And I sent them the link to David Adams and all this stuff. And, you know, what the first piece of advice I got was like, go put it somewhere safe. Like you can't hold on to it. You can't leave it in your apartment. Put it,
Keep
put
it
it away.
secret. Keep it
Yeah.
safe.
So, I went to a bank, put it away. Um, I even called, like, I got it from face-to-face games in Toronto. I called them immediately after and I said, I pulled the ring. Like, how can I and like, I didn't even get the sentence out and they hung up on me. I'm like, they thought I was pranking them. I was like, this is ridiculous. So I called him back.
That's crazy.
I called him right back. And I'm like, listen, I understand. Like, it sounds crazy, but this is legit. Like, like, I need an email or something I can text, like, pictures and video to. So, I go to
Yeah.
the bank. I tried to contact everyone. As I'm coming out of the bank, David Adams calls me back. Same with face to face. But then I ended up talking to David Adams. We had like a video meeting and stuff like that. And, they were amazing. Like they were, such good people. They, heard about my story. I'm just a retail worker, living paycheck to paycheck. They're like, there's other offers out there. And, this could totally change your life. And if you can find something else, then go ahead. But, our offer's still here if you can't find anything else. And, they were amazing. So the very next day, I talked to my cousin. He got me in touch with my lawyer, Jessica. And, even that was strange because, I'm calling, someone I don't know and I'm like, hey, here's a
Yeah.
website and there's this card worth $1 million. I have it. So I need your help. And, and she just
That's
had to
so
trust me,
crazy.
and then, she introduced me to Carly from the Notable Group and she helped me with, the sale of the card, like finding a buyer and, making sure we do everything safely. And yeah, when I first met with them, they asked me like, "What's the dream? Like, what is the best outcome you can see of this?" And my my first reaction was, if I could meet or sell this to Post Malone, like that's it. That's the dream. And they smiled and they're like, "Yeah, that's really good, but you're an adult, so we got to think about the long term and stuff like that." Because like at that point, I'm like, if he offered what David Adams would, I would have been okay with it. But they're like, think about your future and everything, and so as time went on, like that kind of was off the table. Like it wasn't during. So I met Post Malone in that video. Everything happened on Thursday, July 20th. It was gonna go somewhere else. Like we were ready to sign papers, like, and the sale was gonna be final before that. And you know, I got a phone call that Thursday. I was at work, and Carly calls me. She's like, "You need to leave work. You need to bring the card. We're gonna go see and meet Post Malone like before like anything happens, right?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's crazy. Like, he'll get to see it. We'll take pictures, and then at least he gets to
Yeah.
appreciate it, right?" So we go there.
True,
We had
true.
to like sneak the card into the concert, and it was crazy. Like I was told beforehand, like this might be 30 seconds, it might be a minute. Like you know, meet him, say
Right.
hello, like shake hands, take pictures with the card, put it away. Like don't let anyone see you because I was still anonymous at the time, and just try. Like it's gonna be quick, and it's just that's it. But that's not how it went down. Like we went in there and he was so excited when he seen it. He's just like holding it up and looking at it and we started talking about magic. We started talking like, he asked me like, tell me about yourself and stuff like that. And he asked what the current bid was. And we told him. Then his next question was, what's your commander? And I look at Carly and I look at Post Malone, and I had snuck that into the concert too. So I'm like, I brought it with me. Do you want to see it? And he's like, yeah, like excited to see it. So
Yes.
I handed over, and it was my Cranko deck. And as soon as he saw the commander, he goes, yes. And I was like, what? He's like, I'll take the ring. Like, I will buy the ring. And you know, that that's where the video came from. It's just how it happened. It wasn't even supposed to happen.
That's
It just,
awesome.
we took a chance and went out there, and things just went amazing. Yeah.
That's amazing. It's a good thing he didn't hate goblin decks.
Oh, I know.
'Cause,
I
he
know.
would like, oh, you're a mono red goblin deck. Like, no way, dude.
Oh yeah.
Get out of here.
It was
Oh,
no, he was so excited. He went through every single card in my commander deck. Like we
wow.
sat there and he's looking, he's like, oh, this card's awesome, and oh, this one's wild, and we started talking Magic. He's talking
Yeah.
about a deck he's trying to make, and it was amazing. Like it was a really good experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I mean, just hearing your story, like, I just have the biggest smile on my face. Like, it's just so exciting for you. And, like, never in a million years, like, I've opened who knows how many booster packs, but, like, needing to call a lawyer and, like, go to a bank after opening a booster is just, like, mind blowing to me. So, yeah, it's just like, I never thought something like this would happen. Even like when they announced it, like the cynical part of me was like, is it even real? Like, it's just gonna go to like some influencer or a streamer or something. Like, it's gonna be planted. But just knowing that it's like, oh, it was actually just in the wild, at a local game shop, like, that's amazing. That's amazing. So, kudos to Wizards for at least doing that. Like, that was cool to see that, like, follow through there. So, yeah. So I guess one of my questions is like, I'm sort of like the resident Magic expert because my brother hasn't really played ever, I don't think. I started playing with Theros and like Born of the Gods. That's when I first got into it. And I moved away from my play group in 2016, so I haven't played paper Magic in a long time, but I'm on Arena like every single day playing Historic Brawl, basically, is the only thing I play now. But so my question is, after the sale goes through, what's like the first Magic purchase that you make after that?
It actually was because how crazy like everything was going on. And I usually buy a box of every set. Like I missed like the pre-release and the release date of Commander Masters. So like as soon as I had like a little bit of money in my bank account, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm buying Commander Masters. I want that Jewel Lotus so bad. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it didn't change a thing, like I still love Magic. I still get excited opening cards, like it's so good.
Yeah, no, it really is. I've been trying to explain it to my brother how it's just like the ultimate best like card game like ever. Like nothing even comes close to it. Like so many people have tried to replicate it and like make it their own and tweak it and simplify it or whatever, but it's just like there's nothing like it. And yeah, it's I mean, even just Arena, which is totally different. I've been playing Arena basically since I really got into it like during the pandemic and everything when I was at home. But like, I'm like, oh man, I don't even know if I could like play paper Magic again. Just like having all the triggers be automatic, and like everything just like happen and not have to count anything or do any math. And
it makes the math easy. Yeah, exactly. You don't even count. You're just like, swing away. Like we'll count the counters. It'll figure it out. Oh yeah. Oh, exactly. Especially when you're playing
math
like Scoot Swarm. You're like Scoot Swarm. Oh no. There you go. No, I play a lot of Arena too. Like same thing during the pandemic. You couldn't go out, so I really like drafting, so a lot
Yeah.
of like the quick draft I got really into, and when they bring out new sets and stuff like that, it I like that kind of Magic because you're not trying to, especially when it first comes out, you're not trying to go towards like a meta, like this is like the best deck and should have
Right.
all these cards, and it's like no, it's just you open like the worst rare in the whole set, so you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
I like that. I like, it
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
makes you creative.
Yeah. If Post Malone says, "Hey, this is amazing. I love you, man. Like, let's grab dinner sometime, but I don't want to get, the card's not for me. Like give it to the next person. This is awesome." Who was that next person?
I don't think I can say, to be honest. Yeah. Like just for
Okay.
yeah. But it wasn't
That's all right.
I don't know exactly where it would end up, but the whole premise of where it ended up with Post Malone, I think, that was the best outcome. Like a lot of people
Yeah.
ask like, about all the different offers. And especially the one with there was the guy that, had the Kickstarter about throwing it into the fire like a volcano and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
and that was legit. He reached out to us and stuff like that. It was, I love the idea. Like I get it. Like that whole mentality of staying true to the books and to the movies. But for me, it was like when you seen that card, it's so a lot of time and love went into it, and for them to mesh that into this type of card game and have that serialized one of one and have it mean so much, for the it going to Post Malone and him being such a avid fan of the game, and I can see that, card it's gonna have life. Like he's gonna show it off. Like I seen there was a TikTok or something
Yeah.
saying that he was playing a game with Lady Voss, and he needed a treasure token and he used the one of one ring as a treasure token. And I'm like, that's perfect. I'm so glad he did that, like it just makes me happy.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
you know.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So
That's hilarious.
You said Posty was the first person that came to your mind. You're obviously a fan of him and his music. Why? What about him was you were like, I gotta get it to him?
like I knew he was a big fan of Magic. Like I know, you could see him and he supports a lot of the MTG community and even just little podcasts and influencers, and you know I could tell that he was a genuine fan, just the way he talks about it and plays with it. Um, Now, again, for that whole aspect of it going to be out public, like I would love for people to see it, to be able to take pictures with it. And, so that was the dream, right? And plus, meeting Post Malone in the first place, that would have been just crazy. And, you know, then
Yeah.
there's the other route, it could go to someone that could just buy it to invest it and, keep it in uh, a safety deposit box for the next 20 years. So out of all those outcomes,
Yeah.
like for it, even if it like wasn't, Post Malone in the long run, and it was just someone else that, would have it available and out for, people to see and the community to appreciate. But Post Malone definitely number one choice. Like I don't know if you've ever seen him play Magic. Like he's real into it. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no denying like he's how much he's done for the community and just like even just bringing awareness to the game.
Yeah.
To have someone that is like that like mainstream or like almost household name status like A-list celebrity just to be like full on just like totally into Magic is I mean I think it's great. I think it's great. I've seen like some other celebrities into it who are into it. One of our Cassius, who is on a Seattle Seahawks where we're from locally, seeing like an NFL player just like super into Magic was always like really cool, and it always made me wonder. Yeah,
He's amazing. He actually reached out to me. Like he's so good.
it always made me wonder like how like when you have like that kind of resource to like buy magic cards and like make decks, that's why I asked like, all right, what's like your first magic purchase like afterwards?
Yeah.
Like, is it tempting to like go out and like buy some Power 9 or
Like it
yeah.
is, but for me, like, the nostalgia part for me is more like valuable. Like I love, opening packs. Like I remember as a kid, like, saving up like I was remember buying Fallen Empires because it was like the cheapest one, but even like just opening it and seeing that stuff. So I think like my goal, like my kind of like next kind of endeavor would be like just to open a box of every set of Magic cards. And like obviously with
Mm,
like the older pricey stuff, like maybe even just a pack, so like a pack of alpha or a pack of beta, like that would be to me like
Yeah.
more valuable than just making like a crazy deck kind of thing. You know, I think that'd be
Right.
pretty wild.
I looked on TCG Player, and if I what I saw correctly, and I don't know if the actual offer has been made, the number has been made public, but on TCG Player, you could pick up I think every Black Lotus on there on the site if you wanted to.
Realistically, yeah. I looked, I even like shopped around to see who had like, the best condition Black Lotus. But I mean, like, you know, that would be cool and everything like that. But to me, like, just opening packs is just so much more fun, like I said,
Yeah, because it
Yeah.
just sits there. Like it's cool,
yeah,
but it just sits there.
yeah. And yeah, you could use it and like some of your friends let you do it, but that'll be like a game or two, and then they're like, all right, put it away. Like, what I mean? I was saying my Krenko deck, like there's some good cards, but it's not like to be over powerful. Like it's maybe a seven. Like I even put like one, I think it was a beta, like the first goblin, it's just like one red and it's a 1/1 goblin. No text, no nothing, just like basic, just for fun,
No
right?
haste.
Yeah, no, just a 1/1 goblin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I've never been like super into like brewing up new decks. But when I do, I like them to be more thematic than just like OP or the best in slot card or whatever. So yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool. Um, I don't remember what I was gonna ask. Oh, I was gonna say when I heard that it had gotten pulled, um, I was like, one of the first things that went through my head was like when and where did it happen? Because like I could not imagine pulling that like at a card shop like during a draft or something, and then having like who knows how many people there all just like witness it all at the same time, and like knowing that that's like $1 million card, like that would have like freaked me out if that would have happened. But I'm glad you were in the safety like of your own home, because like I don't know, people, I've met some interesting people at Friday Night Magic. So
That's it. Oh, that would have been scary for sure. Like, the amount of safety that, like, the steps towards safety, like, it's just a little piece of paper that's, again, worth $1 million. Like, how easy is that?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it. I love it.
I'm assuming you have a group of buddies or some people that you play Magic with,
Yeah.
and what was their reaction when you hit them in the group text and you're like, "Boys, check this out"? When you told them that you got the ring.
I only texted one of them, and I'm like, okay, like, it's like my group, I've kind of moved in the last 6 months, so they're kind of like in a different city, like a little bit further outside of
Gotcha.
Toronto. So I'm like, all right, like I still keep in contact with one of them, and I sent it to him, and you know, everything with like it was good too because he like kept it secret. Like there was one person he told, but it was like someone that we worked with that I didn't even know what Willy Wonka was, let alone magic cards, but like he was just excited to like tell the story. Like Brooke did something incredible, like you're gonna see something crazy. And but once the PSA once like everything was released about the PSA and like, it was graded and everything like that, um, you know, I still remained anonymous, but through Carly and the Notable group, we were still able to do interviews. So it was like, hey, anybody with questions, like go through them. So we did like, local news and other things.
Hmm.
And I remember one of the questions was, tell us about yourself. So I told them, 36-year-old retail worker in Toronto, cashier slash forklift driver. And once that started going around, people at work were just like, "Hey, like, did you get some crazy card or something?" And like even people from my old play group at my other store, they're like, "Hey, man, like, congratulations, like, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about."
You're
Like
a
I had to
cashier
play
slash
dumb. Oh
forklift
yeah,
driver,
oh
and you
yeah,
play Magic. Did you pull that card?
oh yeah. It got to a point that like HR pulled me in the office one day. And this was like, it was funny because, even after the sale, I waited, like, we waited a little while until we released all the information. And I had so Thursday was post Malone, the Friday was my 37th birthday. And, my HR pulls me in the office. They're like, oh, there's rumors going around that you're a millionaire and this and that and so on. And I'm like, I don't know what you mean. Like, what are you talking about? Where you hear these? She's like, on the news. Like, it said 36-year-old forklift driver, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, I'm 37. So I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, yeah. It was just,
Oh, that's
it was just
amazing.
wild. Like even my dad, I didn't tell my dad. I didn't tell him until like a day or two before like we announced everything on social media and stuff like that. And he even when the PSA was great when it was graded at the PSA and some of the interviews like even went on the radio. Like he was driving home from work and it was on the radio. And he called me. He's just like, "Hey, like,
Wow.
don't buy those Lord of the Ring things anymore. They got the card." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks, Dad. And at the same time, my brother's calling me, and
Oh my god.
my brother knew that I had the card. Like he was one of the first ones I told. And he calls me right after and he's just like, "Hey, like, did you tell Dad anything?" I'm like, "No, like, I kept it quiet and this and that." He's like, "He's been asking me all day, like, he heard something on the radio." And he's like, "Did Brooke get the card? Did Brooke get the?" And I just, oh, it's wild. It's just wild.
It's amazing. It's just like what it's just such an incredible story to come from like this cardboard card game that we've been playing for years and years. Like I
It,
never would have thought in a million years that this would happen. It's just insane to me. But yeah, it makes me wonder if like they'll ever do anything even close to that again. It's hard
I
to
don't
top,
know.
the one ring, but
It's it's been a journey, I tell you. Like it's something else. Like never in my life, like every step of the way, it's just been something incredible. Like even just like going to get it graded was wild. I didn't have my passport, so I had to hire a security company to like take it for me and still like remain anonymous and everything like that. Like I met some like
wow.
random stranger downtown Toronto, like with my lawyer, like handing it over to him and being like, "Hey, please bring this back." Like,
Oh my
oh yeah, oh yeah. And even like when we picked it up at Pearson Airport, he's like, they're like, "Oh, dress inconspicuous, wear, a hat, sunglasses, so no one can see who you are." Because again, it's just, a piece of cardboard that someone could easily just take from me, right? And the Brad from the PSA, he's from PSA Canada, went with the security guy, and they're texting me. They're like, "Oh, hey, like Brad's still hanging around. I think he wants to like maybe see like if he could spot you, kind of thing. Like I'm trying to lose him and this and that." And I'm like, "Well, meet me in the washroom, right?" And I go in the washroom. I'm standing there. I'm like washing my hands for like 2, 3 minutes, just like, nonchalantly waiting for this guy to come in. And he comes in and he just kind of like side eyes me. He like gives me the nod. I give him a wink. And he goes, checks the stalls, comes back. He's like, all right, it's clear. Like, we got to do this quick. I have to take a picture. So he hands it to me, open up the case, take the picture, stuff it underneath my sweater, put my sunglasses on, and get like the hell out of Pearson Airport. It was wild.
Gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Dude. I'm going to shift gears a little bit towards the financial side, and you can answer whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
But in Canada, what do taxes look like on that sucker? Because
I'm not even sure yet.
you're not even sure yet?
No. So, I'm doing the right thing and looking into, people to handle the taxing part. The taxes aren't until like the end of the year. So, whatever happens with that and whatever I can share when I do find out, like I'll let everyone know. But as of right now, I'm not too sure.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I don't think you have to let everyone know. I was just curious.
Yeah.
What have you said, and has it, like, I've read like tons of articles, videos, blah, 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 blah. Is there an actual number for the offer that has been publicly said? Have you publicly said this was the amount? What was that?
We sold it for $2 million US.
Okay. So, and is that where they get the 2.6 from Canada? Is that Canada currency?
I think so. But to be honest, like when it was first posted, like you just saw people saying, like, because we didn't say the number in the video, so people are like 2 and then 2.1 and then 2.3, and it was 2.3 for a little while, and then it was like 2.45, and then it got to 2.6, and everyone, kind of settled at 2.6. So I don't know if that was it, or if some people like knew the exchange. But oh yeah, it's wild to see like how quickly something can escalate, like in the game of telephone.
Yeah.
Even like throughout everything. And when I met Post Malone, like he even said, he's like, there's rumors about, he's already bought the card, or he's already made these offers and this and that. Like it's funny. Like to me, I laugh just seeing all these different like stories that start to escalate in different directions.
What's your immediate reaction when you whip open your banking app and you're like, oh wow, seven digits, haven't seen that before on my my mobile app, this is insane.
So the way everything panned out with that is I set up another account through my financial advisor. So I haven't set up mobile banking for that yet. And when everything went through, it was a phone call. Like my financial advisor, Mark, he called me on a Saturday, and he's like, do you have a second? Like, are you sitting down? And I'm thinking, oh, maybe something went wrong. Like maybe like, there was a miscommunication or something. And, I'm like, hey, I'm just doing something. I called him right back, and he's just like, I just want to be the first one to tell you that you are now a millionaire. Like everything went through, it's in the bank, and it's here. And I was, I was outside. There was like a little park nearby. I went and like sat in the bench, like, and started crying. Like I was like, it was crazy. It was insane. And I didn't like see the numbers. I just, heard it. And, I hung up with him, and actually first he asked me, he's like, can I ask you, like, who did you sell it to? And I'm like, well, I don't think I can release that information. But I'm like, Mark, like you have like all the information in front of you. And he's just like, I don't know. Like it's just some name. I'm like, Google the name. And because he doesn't go like that. Post Malone's a stage name, right? So he Googled it, and he's like, "Oh my God, are you serious?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "Holy!" And he starts freaking out, and I'm like, "Yeah," like it was crazy. So then, I hang up with him. Like I had, I went out for a big walk in the park and everything like that, and the next day I thought about it and I'm like, I don't have access. I can't see the number. Like, they'd be so cool. I'm like, Mark, can you send me like a screenshot of it, please? And so I got an email like 2 minutes later. He's like, here's it in American and here's it in Canadian. I'm like, yes. So it was pretty wild.
It seems to me the vibe that I get is, you're just very grounded, and sometimes people come into this stuff and it can really, right, money is an amplifier, so it can really send them kind of off the rails a little bit. But
Hmm.
straight away, like getting a lawyer, getting a financial advisor, all these things is so cool, and I think it's so good that you did that. And when it comes to this financial piece with your family and friends, I love that you're still working your job. And I read in an article that you have kind of set things up so that you can retire in your 50s or whatever.
Yeah.
But what are some, like, maybe goals and plans you have for the future? You've just had this moment, and once the dust settles, where do you want to see yourself?
Well, like, so for me, first of all, like if I put it all into my bank account, it'll be easy to be like, oh, I'll take some days off and, just go do something, you know, or even on my days off, I'd be, inclined just to be going out and doing something when I'm bored. So I set it up with my financial advisor that we, broke down how much I would need like every month, just to cover my rent and my bills. And that's covered. And then anything I make through work is just, my hobbies and stuff that I can make an investment. So realistically, you know, I could essentially drop down to part-time. It's invested in such a way that with me working part-time, that should be enough to like sustain, just my hobbies and stuff like that. But now if I work full-time, I can put more into investment and other things. So, I could, help other people out, do charities, or just buy more magic cards, right? Like get to that alpha booster pack there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much is a alpha booster pack going for these
Oh, I
days?
don't even want
I
to know.
think it's. I think they're in like the 10K range at
Oh, at
least.
least,
But
yeah.
um, yeah, my next question is just kind of a fun one. But if you were to go up to Posty and you know you said I want to sell this card for 2 million, um, and he replied with double or nothing, like 1v1 me. I win, I get the card. I lose, I pay you 4 million.
Oh
would you
my Lord.
would you take that deal?
I don't know. That'd be such a gamble. I don't know. Like if he said like if he lost or if I lost it would only be 1 million, then maybe. But like for $2 million, like that's too much
Yeah,
of a game. That's way too much,
too much. Yeah,
you know. It'd still be a wild experience.
yeah, yeah.
Oh man.
Well, man, it's been incredible talking to you. Like this is just, I'm still just like beside myself. Like I can only imagine how you're feeling. I'm like, you know, you had, I didn't even buy any of the Lord of the Rings booster packs, but it's still just like so exciting to me that it
Oh yeah.
happened. And um, it happened to like such a great guy. Like he seems so like just genuine and cool and um, fun to hang out with and play Magic with. So
Oh, I
um,
appreciate.
just really incredible story, man, for real. So
Yeah. Well, message me and I'll add you to Arena. Maybe I think I still have some Brawl decks. I do.
okay,
Yeah. I got
yeah,
an
that'd
elf
be
deck.
awesome.
Oh yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, dude, we won't take any more of your time. Anything that you want to say on record for the people as we close out?
I, honestly, I just want to say thanks for having me on here. Like, I really appreciate it. I love all the positivity that's come from this. Like, everyone, like the whole community, everything just been so nice and positive and humble. Like, I did not expect at least half of this, like it's been such an incredible story, and everyone has just been so supportive, and I love it. Thank
It's
you.
awesome. It's awesome. Thank you. All right. Well, that's the interview.